Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Danny, and today, Great.com talks with Penny Sitter, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity, the chapter of Seminole Apopka. If you haven't heard of it yet, they have been partnering for 30 years, mind that, guys, with families seeking adequate housing in Seminole County and Greater Apopka. Now, before we go there, remember, if you're new here to this podcast, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Hi, Penny, and welcome.
Hi, Danielle. Thank you for having me this morning to talk to you about Habitat for Humanity.
It's truly my pleasure. As I said before we recorded the episode, I'm really thrilled by the work that Habitat for Humanity does. So it's always great to know more about the different work that you're being able to do in these regions, right? But let's begin learning more about you. Tell me about your story and what moved you to working there.
So I always say that my career chose me more than I chose it. So I kind of came up through the nonprofit management world and landed my job. I had already nonprofit voluntary health organizations, but I had a really strong nonprofit management background before I started at this particular Habitat for Humanity. And what really happened was having that strong, proven track record plus, strong skill set. I also have a really strong entrepreneurial spirit and really can look at, how do we run Habitat for Humanity like a business and really provide customer service to the people that we serve while doing the work of a charitable organization, doing it with excellence. So I really think that I'm just really blessed to be here and to really be able to provide affordable housing home ownership for the people in my community. So really, it's just been working my way up what I would, in some people's case, it's the corporate ladder. For me, it's the nonprofit sector and taking on, different responsibilities and different, really different, just really responsibilities. And I've really enjoyed that and grown into my role.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I've got to say that I love to hear you speak about this perspective of learning, talking about customer services and understanding that the nonprofit is not just an organization, right? It's another organization. It needs to be taught on that way. I think this is vital for nonprofits to thrive, especially right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're really here to solve human issues, to solve community problems. And we really have to run ourselves like a business. Being a nonprofit, in America, we talk about, it's really a tax status. It's not a business plan. So it's important to understand that, that we have real business and real impacts to make to be successful. And that's what has people in our community want to get involved, whether it's as a volunteer and giving their time or giving their treasure, which would be their money, or something else, like maybe in our case at Habitat for Humanity, every nonprofit's a little different, but maybe it's a piece of land they want to donate, or maybe it's their services, their expertise that they want to donate. So it really is time, talent, treasure. But people aren't going to want to give that if you're not making an impact and you're not showing that you're making a difference. So,
well, absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Now, let's try to give our listeners some context so they understand where you're acting and what is the reality, especially that you're seeing there. How things are moving in there.
I think for your listeners that are global and around the world, Seminole County and the Greater Apopka area is located in Central Florida. So we're really in the middle of the state and everybody knows where Disney is. And we are approximately an hour north of Disney, depending on the day and the traffic on that day. But we're about an hour north and we are, I would call us a bedroom community to the urban core of Orlando. A lot of professionals live in Seminole County. A lot of doctors, lawyers, and possibly Disney executives live in this area. But we're a wealthy county. We're one of the wealthiest counties in the whole state of Florida. But geographically speaking, I think we are the third smallest county in the state of Florida. So land is tough to get. And so that's a challenge for us here at our particular habitat. But I think what's important to remember is we are, primarily our economy in Central Florida runs on the tourist industry. And that means that you've got lower paying jobs and people working really hard. So it becomes even more important that we can provide housing that's affordable so that people aren't so far away from work, because having a stable workforce is very important to the economy. So that's a little bit of context. We're not too far from Disney and Mickey Mouse, but we are far enough that we have our own little community here that's very important to the Central Florida area.
Oh, actually, thank you for all this description. I think helps us to really see more of what happens there and see I would say some of the contradictions that happen between being a wealthy county and, having this challenge to seek for spaces to grow and build, and also with the need of people, right? Because there is still some crisis on housing. Am I wrong on that?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a huge shortage of affordable homes, whether it be rental or home ownership. Mm-hmm. And Habitat fills that space of home ownership, but we advocate for all housing, and it's all in a huge shortage here in Orlando. We've got an interesting thing that's been happening since COVID here in Central Florida, and also really the whole state of Florida, but that is that there are a lot of people from the Northeast part of the country, Washington, D.C., New York, Boston, that area, coming with a lot of cash and coming with money to buy houses with cash. And so the demand for housing here has grown tremendously. And we've seen our housing market just explode, and rents are up. And so are our houses and what they're appraising for. So we've never seen this kind of growth, not in the 30 some years that I've lived in the Central Florida area. I've never seen anything like it. It's very challenging.
Yeah, and I gotta say that I find it crazy. I mean, things have changed in a way after COVID, and it's just insane to me just to think about it. Now, could you guide us through the process that goes behind your minds, or the building moment for you? Because I would like to highlight a few things that I found on your website, which, by the way, for everybody listening, go check it out. It's habitat.semiноleapopka.org. You can get that on the description of the episode or on our website. But I found some like gems there that I loved it. But it's like, first one, you don't give the houses away. I loved it. It takes a village to raise a house. I think this is incredible. And the fact that something that you pointed out, that is affordable housing. I feel like those three things make the whole sense on how you think and act to solve the problem. So could you guide us through this process, please?
Sure. So I think of myself as the CEO. One of my most important roles here is to bring different members of the community around the Habitat dinner table, so to speak, and really provide different things for that dinner, right? So when you go to Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner with your family, maybe some people bring dessert, some people bring a salad, some people bring a turkey, and that kind of thing. And together, you put all those things together and you've got this great holiday meal. Well, I think the same is true at Habitat. It's my job to bring the right people to the table to create this affordable housing. And it really takes corporations, it takes churches, it takes foundations and grantors, and it takes individuals giving money. But it also, remember, I was talking about time and talent. So we need people to come out and help build houses. We need people to help donate materials on occasion, and donate those kind of talents. But so that's my job, bringing all those different entities from a community to the dinner table to create that affordable housing. And so it takes a village for sure. And we do not give our houses away for free. And the reason we don't is because we believe that when a future home buyer is part of their own solution and they're well educated, they will protect the investment of all those people that were sitting around that holiday table, right? To bring whatever they brought and make sure that that family is successful over the long term and can create some family wealth to pass on to break that cycle of poverty. So it really does take that village. But yeah, we do not give the houses away for free. We bring all those people around the table so that we ensure the success of the home buyer. And we have education that goes along with it. So we look for people who are talented and can teach and talk about things like budgeting, civic engagement, wills and trusts, how to be a good neighbor, how to take care of your house, and do all of these kinds of things that are very important to the long-term home ownership, because many of these people that we serve have never owned a house and nobody in their families owned a house. So it's breaking a mentality of, well, my house, when something breaks, I will call the landlord. Well, you're the landlord, you're it, you own it. And so, we try to educate people on all those aspects of home ownership. And so we just make the house very affordable. It's a very modest, affordable mortgage, but we are able to make it modest and affordable because of all of the input and the dedication of the community members all coming together, because housing is very expensive. It's really expensive. And I don't think it matters where you live, but in Central Florida and in Seminole County and Greater Apopka, it's more expensive than most. So
yeah, well, I think this point that you brought, that is education, this especially financial education for
yes.
everybody that is trying to get their first house, move out from a poverty situation and grow in life. This is vital to keep something that is sustainable, not just environmentally speaking, but especially financially and in a lifelong perspective of life. This is incredible. I loved it. Yeah. And one other thing that I really want to tell, actually, just a quick pause here to tell people, we're not going to go in depth about this affordable housing and all of this, but you guys have a quite good, actually pretty good video on YouTube about it. And people can check out your channel. I don't know if you're still updating that, but I found it in there and it's great. And people do go, everybody listening, do go there if you want to have more information about it. It's pretty easy to get from their website, actually. But now talking about volunteering and that bit of how having the village to raise the house, you have two, I would call it programs. I don't know if you call it programs, but that I like it very much. That is Team Build Days and Women Build. I love those ideas. Could you tell us more about it?
Well, the Women Build program is something that we do here locally in the spring. And it is really an opportunity to empower women on a construction site. And if you think about construction, it's predominantly a male-dominated industry. And but really, women are great at it. They can be great at it. And if you and so what we do is we provide a very non-threatening, empowering kind of place where it's all women, and they learn some great construction skills out there. They also get the opportunity to raise money and to help with paying for the materials and some of the subcontract to hire to do things like electric and plumbing and laying the foundation and those kind of things. But the women get to come out and help build walls and put up drywall and install cabinets and paint and landscape and do all those kind of fun things that also help to cut down on labor costs. But also what we look at too is that a majority of our clients that we serve, and a majority of future home buyers are women. And so what we also know is that 63% of single women in the Seminole County and Greater Apopka area, 63% of them live in poverty. And so it is really important that women can help other women kind of pull themselves up out of that poverty and have a stable environment to raise their children, a place where their kids can do homework, a place where their kids can study and be safe and be healthy, because those kids are more likely to graduate from high school and go on to, post-secondary school, and just to have a different trajectory in their life. So that's also why we do our Women Build program.
Wow, this is incredible. And I love that you highlight this points of how housing actually affects the cycle of poverty, right? It's more than just one thing, right? It's a whole context. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. And one more thing that I got to ask you, it's like about impacts, because during my research, I found out that you actually delivered 200 houses, right? At least got to that number last year. So
Yes.
Could you share some details about it? Do you have an idea of the impact that you have made so far?
Well, we're actually getting closer to 220 houses now. And our goal this year is to build, our goal is 21. We may hit 18, but we're definitely increasing what we did from last year, which was 12 homes. So, the nice thing about Habitat for Humanity is when we accept gifts of people's talent or their time or their money, their treasure, we really put that money to work in the economy. So we employ people, we're purchasing materials. That money takes, and also, our home buyers are going to be paying property taxes for the time that they own their home. So we are putting money back into the economy. So while we're a charitable organization, taking money from the community, it really ends up back in the community like sixfold. So we're a unique organization that way as well. So when you talk about impacts, we definitely have a strong economic impact on any community where we're working. And then, of course, you go back to what I talked about before, which is having, generational wealth, an asset that a family can pass on to their children. When you look in America, usually somebody's home is their biggest asset, and people can borrow against, the equity in their home. And there's just a tremendous amount of savings there, and that really breaks that cycle of poverty. While all the other social things we just talked about, like better health and better grades and fewer teenage pregnancies and all those things, all those social impacts, while they really have a direct impact on that family, they do have a direct impact on the entire community. So, and those things can be hard to measure, but they're definitely there. There's a lot of research to support stable housing and what it does for a community.
Well, absolutely. And this is another point that I encourage people to look for. Like, if you doubt what we're talking here, go check that information, and you're going to learn really how massive the impact is on someone's life. And this moment to break the cycle and get a more stable life. This is really life-changing. It's incredible. And after
Yes.
all of this, Penny, I gotta ask you, how can people help you keep going?
I always joke, but it's true. Cash is king, right? So when somebody donates to our Habitat for Humanity affiliate, we put all that money into the construction of homes for families. So we really we have low overhead. That's important. That's part of the business that I'm in charge of running. But really being able to donate is the most impactful thing that somebody can do. And we have an opportunity actually to be part of a monthly sustainer program where people can donate on a monthly basis. And we call it our Builders Circle. And people can donate, and it can be a small amount every month that comes from your credit card. And that helps us because we know we can count on that money and we can budget it in. And it helps us to plan ahead. And that's not always easy at Habitat because we have land to purchase. We have, plans, architectural plans to get ready, to get approved, to go on that piece of land. And then we've got to construct the property and we have to make sure that our homeowners are being educated while all of that is going on. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. So being able to count on that money is really vital to our long-term success. But then, volunteering for sure. I have a wonderful board of directors. They're all professionals in the community that have tremendous skill sets to offer here at Habitat. And then of course being out on the job site. So if you're part of a corporation or a church or house of worship, whatever that is, and maybe you want to come out and help as a group to learn a skill and to work together to build housing, that's always appreciated.
Wow. Thank you so much, Penny, for all of this. I loved talking to you today. It was really a great talk.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It was truly my pleasure.
It's always fun to talk about Habitat for Humanity.
Absolutely, I think the same way. And for everybody listening also, thank you so much for staying here with us for one more episode. And remember, if you enjoyed it, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because that shows the algorithms that this is an important conversation and we can spread the word about the importance of Habitat for Humanity in Seminole County in Greater Apopka. All right, bye and see you at the next episode.